And we're back. Hi, welcome to a game of Starcraft, something I've not cast on this channel before. In the bottom right hand corner we have the blue Protoss, DarthTreinta, and in the top left hand corner we have the red Zerg, Carlfish. Yes, it's me, playing my first real ladder game of 5 years. Not really my first ladder game because I played 2 placement matches before this. The first one was against a diamond player who immediately left, and in order to reverse the negative MMR, I then worker rushed the next guy I played. So this is like the first one I actually took seriously, and we can see it's a pretty standard opening from the Protoss. He's built a pylon behind its base, he's going for a gateway, he's put up a gas, all pretty normal stuff. I'm out here putting out a 17 hatch, a little bit late, but what can you do? I haven't played the game for 5 years. And I'm just about to get ready to put down my gas and my spawning pool. Meanwhile, we have a drone scout, a very early drone scout coming out. And this is where I'm about to make my first big mistake. And the big mistake is, I'm not very good at StarCraft. I was never particularly good at StarCraft to begin with, and I haven't played for 5 years. So my big mistake was, I paid attention to my scouting information. You can see, I didn't scout the base properly. All I saw was a nexus and 1 gas, no pylon, no gateway, and I immediately did what any good StarCraft player would do in this situation. I panicked. So I'm immediately going back going, oh my god, what is this guy doing? He could be doing anything to me. He could be cannon rushing me. He could be like building 4 gates out here. So quickly send a probe out behind my mineral line to make sure that there's nothing out here, and then completely forget that drone exists. Send another drone out to check the other 2 bases to make sure there's nothing out here that is untoward. And I get out here and there is nothing untoward. So it's now, I have no idea what's going on, but I figure I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. So I'm gonna put down we've got our spawning pool is finished, so we can start zergling speed, we can start building some queens, and meanwhile the Protoss is got his cyber core down, is researching warp gates, just doing all the normal things as a Protoss does. His probe is coming in to do a much better timed and much more thorough scout, where he's just going around my base and seeing, hey, that guy's just doing normal Zerg things. He's got a base up, he's got 1 gas, he's got a spawning pool, he's got a queen, he's got another base that he's very late to drone up because he got distracted. Meanwhile, in the Protoss base, DarthTreinta is building a gateway and a Stargate, and he's got an adept out. Now, I have no idea. I, again, haven't played for 5 years. I don't know if starting with a Stargate is a normal thing for Protoss these days, or whether it's unusual, but it's what this guy's done, and we'll see what happens with that. I've got a couple of safety Zerglings out, the Adepts coming up. Adepts can be pretty nasty in the early game because they're very beefy, tanky units. They can 2-shot drones. So in the hands of a very good player, they can, do some pretty nasty damage to a mineral line and then shade out and then come back and do it again. But in this case, he just goes behind my mineral line and dies, which, isn't bad, and I can continue on my merry, merry way. Get out a 3rd queen. Back in the Protoss base, he's got a Starcraft and is finally chasing off my overlord that's just been sitting going, hi, for the last couple of minutes, and he's sending out the first unit from his Stargate, which is an Oracle, which is another really, really great harassment unit. Like, these things, especially like Zerg, apart from Queens are good obviously, but they don't have a great deal that can shoot up, and Queens don't move particularly quickly, so a well-piloted Oracle can do some real damage to a mineral line. So let's see what DarthTreinta can get done. Oh, he kills 1 drone, then he does 50% damage to another drone, does 50% damage to another drone, does 50% damage to 2 more drones, and then flies off. The thing about these things is, until you actually kill something, it's still alive, and you may as well not have shot it. So he kills 1 more drone, does 50% to another one, 50% to another one, 50% to another one, and then flies off and gets killed by the queen. So all in all, not the most effective harassment, And here I am back in my base thinking, well, he's thrown an adept at me, he's thrown an oracle at me, he can't have a great deal at home to defend with. And you can see he's got like a stalker and his second oracle, and he's just warping in a quick round of zealots. But meanwhile, I'm just starting to pump out zerglings here because I've not saturated my first base, and I've not saturated my second base, and I've not got anything on my third, so I think I have a lot more workers than I actually have. But what I do have is I've got a baneling nest, and I'm researching baneling speed, and I'm starting to get my 1-1 upgrades, I've got a lair up, and I decide, bugger it, I'm just going to send a lot of zerglings across the map and see what happens. And it just takes his army completely by surprise, and I wipe his army out, which is really nice. But because I'm not actually looking at anything here, I'm actually back at my base macroing and building stuff and trying to sort of get my things back. So these guys are just hammering into a choke point here. I do manage to split some off. I was very clever. I split some more zerglings off and sent them into his main base to kill some probes, but most of my zerglings are just going into this tiny little choke point to that one zealot who did an enormous amount of damage, and then I can finish off all the probes in the natural. It's a nice, actually very effective attack, but eventually my attack gets cleaned up. And, you know, this is what might be considered a game-winning attack. Like, if we look at the units killed, I've lost a lot of units, but that's what you're supposed to do, but I've killed 19 workers, and when you've killed 19 workers, that's, you know, a pretty good thing, because if you look at the units tab, I'm now on 49 drones, he's on 22 probes. I can just, if I just keep working properly, I can outproduce him for the rest of the game and hopefully win. So, meanwhile, our Protoss friend is like, well, that was not fun. I'm going to have to start rebuilding stuff. I'm just going to sort of build a lot more workers and hope that I don't die in the next couple of minutes. And back at home, I've put down a macro hatchery. I'm taking a 4th and a 5th base, which I just won't populate, but I'll just be kind of using to spawn lava and get more units. All I'm really doing is going to try and win on Zergling and Baneling, because, you know, I've done a lot of damage, so why not? Unfortunately, you know, my macro is not particularly efficient. I haven't saturated this base, I haven't saturated this base, I haven't quite saturated this base, so I'm not really getting the mineral income I need, but I'm also still massively overproducing minerals, so I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't really need that many drones to begin with, because, you know, I'm floating 1,000 minerals here. So really what I need to be doing is building more lava, which is why I'm building all these extra hatcheries. But at the same time, I'm going to get another big squad of zerglings and send them down the map. What have we got in defense? We've got a Void Ray, not very good against zerglings. An Oracle can be decent, but then they run out of energy. A bunch of Zealots, good. But here we've got some problems here. We have some High Templar with Storms. AoE damage absolutely wrecks this army if it's not like split up and handled well, which I am, you're about to see, not going to do. I've brought an Overseer down in case he had either Dark Templar or an Observer just to check me out. I could see if he was at least spotting me. I have nothing that shoots up, so I wouldn't be able to do anything about an Observer, but I'd at least see it was there. But there isn't one. Like, if we look at our friend's map vision, he cannot see anything that's going on outside his base, and to be fair, not really, nor can I. So the second attack happens, and I catch him just as he's moving his Zealots out, which must suck for him. There's a nice storm that doesn't quite kill anything, so I take out all of his High Templar, and I send some more Zerglings into the base. These Zealots here are just getting absolutely helped by these shield batteries. The shield batteries is going, haha, I can keep this guy alive forever. So this guy can just sit in this choke point and keep killing Zerglings while the air keeps killing Zerglings. I am not microing these at all. I finally go, okay, I'll send them back into the worker line. And they can do a ring the rosy down here to try and kill more workers. Another pretty successful attack just when he thought he was getting back into the race. Then I kill a whole bunch more of his workers. We've now killed 41 of his workers. And he's like, well, this is not a particularly pleasant life for me. I'll send a few more banelings in just for shits and giggles. And he finally cleans up the attack. And he's got like 1 probe on this base. And he's got 14 on minerals here and 3 each on the gas. So yeah, this is pretty healthy, like overmining, because your main starts to mine out pretty early. And I've already got a follow-up Zergling attack coming in just to see. And I'm sending it out to his 3rd base to see if he's expanded, and he's thought, I've got to do something about this. You know, if I don't counterattack, then this guy's just going to keep throwing stuff at me until I die. So he sends his Void Ray and Oracle out to find my base, and I'm like, cool, you can have it. I've got this one, I've got this one, I've got this one. I can expand out to this one when these start to mine out. I'm pretty good with that. You can just sit there and very, very, very slowly kill that base with a single Void Ray. Meanwhile, I've got another troop of Zerglings ready to attack here, and he started to realize the best thing to defend with is Zealot Archon. Zealot Archon is really good against these very flimsy light units that clump together. It's a lot of AoE damage, and you know, it can do some good against me, but I do have a lot of stuff, which does help. And also, if everything clumps together like that, then, you know, Banelings are pretty good. And so I could probably have taken out that Archon if I'd attacked it with the remaining Zerglings, because it's got no shields left, but I thought it'll be better to continue my assault on the economy of the Protoss here, so send the Zerglings in, and they get wiped out, but they've served their purpose. I'm just sort of continuing to try to keep him down to 2 bases, keep him from developing any kind of reasonable economy. The Void Rays up here just tickling this little lava. Lava have 10 armor. Void Rays do 7 damage, so it's basically doing 1 tick of damage every so often, and the lava is also occasionally healing, so it's just going to sit there and take forever to take out those last 2 lava, which is fine by me. And eventually he's going to work that out and move it away. And DarthTreinta is like, I really need to stay active, because again, if I just hang back and don't do any damage, then I am utterly boned. Like, I did have a good army against this stuff, if I can just do a bit of splash damage, but oh dear. Carlfish has built Hydralisks. Hydralisks shoot up, and they also do a lot of damage from range, so while the Zerglings keep all the Zealots occupied, even a nice storm is not going to save you from this sort of high DPS spitty guys. So they clean up old mate Protoss' army, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, I'm pretty sure that if I can just put together a decent force of Zergling and Hydras, then I can wander across the map, just maybe wait for the next upgrade to finish, wait for myself to get a decent sized army, rebalance my mining just a little bit, and send them across the map to again check out if he's got a 3rd base. We figure he must have at least attempted to expand right now. We don't know about it yet, but we're pretty sure it's there. So let's just gather ourselves there and wait until we've finished doing whatever we were doing at home, which is probably just injecting and doing a final round of production. He's sending a Zealot out to check to see what the state of my economy is, and he's going, oh dear, yep, he's got a fully established 3rd, I'm just going to go home and sulk. Meanwhile, back at the Protoss base, my attack has begun, and again, it's a very simple case of send the Zerglings in to distract them, while the Hydralisks stand behind and pump out the DPS. And then, for some reason, they just decide to dirt behind that mineral field because they can, but at this point it doesn't really matter because the Protoss has nothing left to defend with, and all I need to do is a move towards his army and wipe out the last shreds of the Protoss defense. And at this point, the Protoss says, you know, GG. And I say GG back because that's sportsmanship. And the game ends there. So that was my first real ladder game in 5 years. And, you know, when I stopped playing StarCraft, most of the time I was in Gold League. I kind of like popped into Platinum League once, just edged into Platinum this one time just before I finished playing the first time around. And so, you know, I don't think I have ever been particularly good at the game, and this was definitely not an example of how you should play. It was very inefficient, I was all over the place, my bases were never saturated, I was floating an absolute ton of resources, I was supply blocked a lot, but in the end, I defeated my first opponent. He's nominally Platinum 3, I think, but his MMR is just in the high gold range, so however the ladder has shaken out since I was last there, it looks like I might still be a Gold League player, who knows. But thank you for joining me on this just completely random excursion onto the StarCraft 2 ladder. I might keep playing, you know, I might start, you know, occasionally doing these just to document if I ever actually get better than this, which is, you know, questionable because getting better at an RTS requires an awful lot of practice, and the one thing I don't have these days is lots of time to just dive into a single stressful 1v1 game, but who knows. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this, and I will see you in whatever next video I decide to put up. Thank you.